All right, I am here with some fellow Mantic fanatics that are amazing, and both of these people are heavily involved in the gaming community. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
I'll start. I'm Andrew Sherman. I run the Mantic Radio podcast. We try to promote all things Mantic. In particular, we do a lot of Kings of War, right? That's our main game. That's our mainstay. We're a bunch of fantasy guys there. Rob Fanuth, myself, Mark Zielinski. We love the fantasy side from the Kings of War aspect, and it's been awesome. Over here, though, this is the man. This is the man of the hour.
This is the guy that gets everybody in. We can all trace our addictions back to Mike here.
Yes.
So I'm Mike Carter. I'm a Mantic Pathfinder. I joined that because I wanted to see healthy competition in the marketplace. As such, I started promoting and running games, and I kind of become the Kings of War guy.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm only running 9 tournaments through August this year. And I will be, teaching people
For shame.
over 100 sessions of learning to play, 100 entries at Origins and Gen Con for people. Last year, I had 120 people at Gen Con play the game, and 96 people at Origins playing the game.
Amazing. Absolutely
so, yeah, trying
amazing.
to build a little bit of community here.
Amazing, amazing. So now both of you guys have a media outlet to the gaming community. Why don't you talk a little bit about your media outlets?
All right, so our podcast typically is about an hour and a half long. We cover all things Mantic on the Mantic Radio podcast. We also do a weekly podcast, Mantic Radio Weekly, and we've started some battle reports for Kings of War on the Mantic Radio Videocast. We've only got 4 or 5 of them up there right now. But the idea is to generate a lot of excitement, to talk about the game, to talk about tactics, to actually get people excited to play.
It's surprisingly in-depth, even though the rules are as simple and straightforward as they are, isn't it?
It is, and it's funny because, a lot of people will make the comparison to chess having 2 pages of rules.
Right.
But, chess is one of the most complex and strategic games that you actually have out there. So
right.
just because it's compact doesn't mean it's not strategic, doesn't mean it's not, that doesn't mean it doesn't need a lot of strategy to accomplish.
And thought, absolutely.
Thought, right? So, you can find us on the Ohio Hammer Network. We actually do podcasts, a network essentially. So we cover multiple gaming systems. You can find us at ohiohammer.com. We also run OCON back in Ohio. It's in the Toledo, Ohio area. We do run a Kings of War tournament there. Hopefully, I'm hoping if we can get enough players, I'd love to run a 2-day Kings of War GT. I've been talking to Mike about that on the side.
Hey.
It'd be one more for either him or maybe he gets a chance to play for once, right? Because sometimes
I've never seen this man play as long as I've known him.
I've been playing.
He's
a lot.
always
See me get my butt kicked.
Well,
those who can't do, those who can't teach.
Right,
He's right about that. Those that can't play talk about playing is what we do, right? So I talk about it. He runs the events, right?
He came in second.
Oh my God, yeah. And Odin, I've never gotten, well, actually my wife gave me an equal level beating the night afterwards, but yeah, I've gotten my butt smacked down twice and it was an absolute pleasure, both times.
It was a great game that we played.
Right.
Sue won the campaign, and Bill, our game was awesome. I gotta say, I did not expect the bum rush army. I literally,
and that was me.
Yeah,
that was me.
That's a tactic I can talk about now because my vision of undead has not been what you had. And literally, I had to stop and ask, wait a minute, you mean you have no shambling except for your characters? You can't, you
right?
Really? Oh my God! So it's like
I have a very unusual undead army.
Yeah, wait till I get my 12 angels.
Oh,
but
I won't play you. I just
love
won't
the
play you.
game.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Mike.
Yes.
You've got 2 media outlets, I believe. Why don't you talk about the 2 of those? You've got your. I'll just let you talk.
Okay.
I'll just let you
I think
talk.
you're referring to if you're interested in some of the work I've done, I've been known in the Warhammer world as creating some fairly interesting armies. You might say.
I love your themed
fairly
armies.
unique themed armies. You can find those at puggamer.net. That's my webpage I own. I recently started a new blog. I'm fairly old-fashioned. I prefer to read things so I can go at my own pace with it. I realized in my personal blog, which I never update anyway, but all I did was whine and complain. So I thought it's time to talk about the fun things in life, the things that I really like, because it's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye. So I just bought the domain until somebody loses an eye.net. That is my blog for fun stuff I'm doing.
That's
So
awesome.
feel free to check it out. I also do.
You have a newsletter too,
I have a
don't you?
newsletter that
That's
I do.
the two things.
Okay, once a month, only once a month, which sometimes is really limiting when I want to talk about things. But anybody send me your email. I don't share it with anyone, not even Mantic. But I just send out what news I know of, things that are going on, Kickstarter information, and events that I'm aware of and am generally running.
Got it.
Based in Southwest Ohio, though I go to Chicago, as we can see, and
Yep.
I'm actually going to Nashville. Is the furthest one I'm going to over Memorial Day weekend for
Good
NashCon.
for you.
We also have CincyCon coming up the beginning of May, have OhioCon coming up in a month, and of course Origins in June and Gen Con in July.
Well, I'm definitely gonna be at Gen Con. Are you gonna be at Gen Con?
Now I might be.
I'm putting him on the
Yeah,
spot.
you're putting me on the spot. Now I might have to be. Right? Gen Con's a great convention.
Yeah, it's not as
the problem
completely
is-
miniatures focused
Yeah.
as this is.
It's not that, it's that you have to start making the hard choices, right? Like I skip typically Origins or Gen Con.
Right. Yes. A lot of people are in that boat.
This was going to be my year to go back to Origins.
Oh,
So
okay.
if I'm
Well,
co-
don't
if
let me
I'm
cut you
committing-
off.
If I'm committing to Gen Con, which I might be, you know, it's,
Okay.
it's closer to my anniversary. Typically, we make a weekend out of it as well, right?
Sure,
So it's a good
absolutely.
time. But it's. I'll be honest with you, I like Gen Con better than Origins. Nothing against Origins, you know, it's a nice facility, but I like Gen Con better.
For me, it's a longer drive. That's the only reason I like Gen Con better. It's just closer.
Yep.
And honestly, there's been a lot of feedback with Gen Con can't control its growth lately. It is so exploding, it's
Yeah.
bursting at the seams. There's a lot of people upset about the housing situation. The fact
Yes.
that their new lottery system, people that have always got a close hotel now don't. I'm 8 miles
Right.
out and I got to bring my miniatures back and forth every day.
Look at these miniatures, guys. How many armies do you bring, Mike?
Only 12.
Only 12. I
All
hate
painted.
you. I hate you, Mike.
All painted.
And they're
I-
painted. And it's
I-
not because I don't have 12 Mantic armies. I do. I just don't have them painted
Or
and
put
look pretty
together.
like you.
The thing about this is you have to understand about Mike. 'Cause Mike is one of the best painters, and he's one of the best painters in the area, if not in the nation.
And not to
And-
mention
and-
volume. How
he-
fast
no,
did you
he
paint
do-
those
he doesn't-
undead?
He may not talk like he is, but what makes him a cut above the rest are ideas like conga lining dwarfs on top of tables in the center of units, and intuitive uses of intuitive uses of dioramas and how you build displays. That's
Yes.
what Mike Carter.
He
up
is
the top.
like, he's like the Douglas Adams of Mantic, isn't he?
You think that having a cold keg of beer tapped on my dwarf display is unique?
I think personally it's going for sportsmanship votes. That's just
There we
myself.
go.
That's
We'll call it
I would
that.
go for favorite army.
We'll call it that. But Mike won't, he admitted this to me earlier. He painted his undead army in how long?
The
Like
undead army
like
for
2
Heroes
weeks? A week?
A week for 1,000
A week.
points.
1,000 points. Yes.
Several of these were painted. Now, they're not, I would call it tournament quality, they're tabletop quality.
But that's what we do with them.
A good example is the
They're
elves,
tournament.
both the Twilight Kin and regular elves. It is a simple, your base coat everything, and I use Army Painter Dip.
Army Painter has been the best friend to us gamers for a long time, has it not?
Quick shade dip, let 'em
I've
dry,
used it.
And base them, and that's
That's
it.
right.
Yeah, I've used it. I've used it.
Get it for real cheap. It comes in bulk and it works out tremendous.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome.
Just gotta watch out, it's a little thick, and I didn't like what it did to my Dreadball Extreme Kelyashins on their faces.
Sweet.
So I guess if there's one other thing we probably should cover is if you want to contact either one of us, right?
That's
We're both-
where I was going. Yep.
We're actually both very active on Facebook. The first place you're going to find either one of us is on the Kings of War US site for Facebook. All you have to do is search Kings of War US, and you'll find both of us there. Post a question up, introduce yourselves. You know, get in touch with Mike over at huggermer.net, and then sign up for your newsletter, right?
And puggermer@gmail.com.
Also, I'm going to just throw this out there myself, and I hear people, pardon my French, bitch about this constantly with Warhammer Fantasy and 40K. Not only is let me back up so I'm getting both of you in here. Not only is the Mantic game systems tend to be very player-friendly rules-wise, the community, whenever we've had a question, we typically get it answered in well under an hour. There are people that go to the motherland source of the Warhammer universe and can't get rules clarifications. So, you know, and I'm sure every game system says this, but I really feel like our small community is, I won't say a cut above, but very, very special.
Well, and that comes from, you know, Mike's been a long-time gamer, you know.
I think people come here because they're tired of the garbage they've ran into in other systems. Am I right?
Yeah, and I've been doing it for, you know, now over 10 years myself, and I'm very much a tournament-style gamer, and when we come in and take hold with the community in Mantic, and we're trying to promote it, we realize what we've seen in other communities that really anger us, right?
Yes.
And it is not about arguing over a millimeter difference of, you know, whether or not you made
or
a charge
rules
or not.
interpretation.
Or rules interpretation, rules is written, it says rules is intended. What it's about getting together, enjoying each other's company, having somebody across the table. If I wanted to scream at something, I would sit at home and play a video game and scream at the TV.
Absolutely.
But that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an interactive community atmosphere, and that's what I get with Mantic Games. And being that we started this from the ground up, you know, being involved in the community, you kind of can influence people. And give
We've
them
almost
positive
shaped it,
you know what I
I'd
mean?
like to say.
That's true, and you can give the positive peer pressure based on that. So it's not
Right, yeah, we don't reinforce bad behavior.
And don't get me wrong, I know that they're all, they say over there, oh, hardcore tournament game, chess clock. You don't find that, like, cutthroat
No.
in Mantic.
None at all.
And they don't even tell you that out front. They tell you that, like, it's the positive peer pressure that they give you, too. So
Sure.
it's so much... It's so much better and cleaner than Privateer Press, than Warhammer Fantasy, than Warhammer 40K. And I gotta say, if you guys get a chance, check out any of the gaming systems from Mantic, in particular Kings of War. That way you can play against us. So,
Yay!
what you got?
Well, and I wanted to build on something that you said earlier with it, because one of the things that I really like about Kings of War is the game is played on the tabletop. Too much now of Warhammer, 40K, some of these other games are played building a list on your computer, figuring out what combos, what do I take here, how do I min-max this to beat anybody.
Oh, yes.
That's much there. Any game where you can pick your pieces, there will be some meta to it. But the meta for Kings of War is much less. With the new edition coming out this summer.
Well, because the
it
rules
fixes
stay
it
the
even
same
more.
between the armies. You don't get, okay, you've got this rule, but we're going to bump you up a point or take you down a point. It's the same. If you have shambling, it's the same for undead. It's the same for the abyssal dwarves.
That's right.
There's no nerfing, and that's what I like so much about it. I don't have to be a genius to play the game. I just have to know these individual pieces of rules.
You can take magic items, you can take artifacts in Kings of War. But it's nice. You can take one artifact, and they're all unique per unit. So
Right.
You can't build this. Oh, it'd be cool if I could make this guy's flying and +1 to hit and +1.
And their defense
you
6,
get one.
and they got the pipes of terror. You can't
Right,
double
you
stack.
pick one thing once, so there's no real
No
combination.
Death Star
No,
formations.
it just doesn't
That's
happen.
right.
Yes, you have some big,
Now-
powerful units, and they're huge and unwieldy.
Yes.
Right, and
Pick
that's
your
the
choice.
disadvantage.
You want a horde of cavalry, fine, but it's 10 wide.
Yes.
And
It's a
it's
true
a big horde of cavalry.
And if they get hit in the side, you're getting double dice. If they're hit in the back, it's triple dice.
Yes.
And it's about, it's funny because, you know, you made the comment about, you know, it's about building a list, and it's, you don't have that pregame. You don't have that pregame and coming up with a list that auto kills anything else. What you have in the pregame for Kings of War is trying to find only the well balance, because if you don't have balance in Kings of War,
Then you
will
have what
fail.
happened to me.
You will fail. I mean, as much as everybody says, you know, you need to have some zap, you need to have some shooting, you need to have some good combat, you need to have some movement. You know, you literally need all those things, and you got to find the right balance. So you can't have just 4 or 5 flyers and expect not to walk up to that rock paper scissors matchup where you're going to lose. So really, it's going to come up. It's instead, it's for lack of better terms, a lot of theory warring, right?
Sure.
We have that here. It's just that it's not a list that automatically kills anything else. It's a list that you need to learn.
You can't pick it up and say this will beat this.
Exactly. It doesn't work that way.
And the way I like it, some of this, with these Death Star lists, these combos, I've got this super combo that works this way, it really feels almost like the game's been beaten. Here's how you win, here's how you win, here's how you win. I don't think this has, because there's nothing super powerful. There's no, I've got to have this unit. Well, now that Angels are being nerfed, there's no, I've got to have this unit everywhere.
No, they're still there. You still need them. I'm
They're
going to tell you right now.
they're not everything they were.
Right.
They still are.
Right.
They still are. Don't listen to them. They still are. Came in second. I'm still going to try to take them. I'm actually moving to best lanes.
There you go.
But it's, again, the game is won on the tabletop.
Yeah.
Yes.
As much time as you want to spend list building, some people love that hobby, but it's playing it on the tabletop.
And that's why I say it's about getting a well-rounded list. It's not about having the list that will just be all end all and it automatically wins because nobody can roll a 2. You know what I mean? Or you only fail.
Or hey, I don't happen to have a hill in my deployment zone.
Yeah. Right.
You know, sometimes that will kill your list right there.
So you need to be adaptable for the terrain you're going to see. And this is a game that really, by and large, the people I hear talking about are 8 to 10 pieces of terrain on a board. I mean, what'd you have here? 7?
You like 6, and they don't want too much. You want to be able to maneuver.
Yeah, you want to balance. Absolutely.
So I do 6 on all my tables.
So I think in Okan, I think we do 7 if I remember correctly. But I mean, it's like you have to be able to adapt around them. And
Absolutely.
And you can't do that with typically an all eggs in one basket list. It doesn't work as well.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I also like it because you look at the winners. Most of the winners are fairly balanced lists.
That's right.
Yes, that is an excellent
We did
example.
have this year, the Dwarf Artillery line did not win. Came in 3rd, but did not win.
Right. And we've heard stories about the Dwarf Artillery lines.
Did not have the all Angel Basilian list. In fact, nobody brought Basilians as a main list this year.
Yeah.
Everybody used to say Angels weren't beatable, take all Angels. They weren't there.
I'm going to still say that, but that's just me.
Buddy who came in last year, second place, let's say I broke him from coming because of the list I have. So.
Right. Okay, let's get one last plug on your 2 stations here again.
Again, ohiohammer.com. You can find us. You can also search us on iTunes, Mantic Radio. Find us out on Facebook at the Kings of War US site. And, hey, check us out. We'll talk to you for an hour and a half every couple of weeks, about 20 minutes every week for Mantic Radio Weekly, and try to keep you enthused about the hobby.
Outstanding. And Mike?
All right, so look me up on Facebook. Check out my blog until somebody loses an eye.net, or check out my site on puggamer.net.
Outstanding. Both of you guys are an absolute pleasure, not only to game with, I still have to game with you, but just to hang with. You couldn't ask for 2 cooler guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.